Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and to all viewing this press conference via WIV television. It is always a pleasure for us to meet with you and to inform you and to keep you informed of issues affecting this your country. I'd like to begin by making a brief statement on a number of pertinent issues facing our country right now that need both public information and public clarity. Following our statement, we will open up to the press for any questions that you may have on the issues that we will discuss, as well as any other national issues affecting our country for which you may want our opinion or our position. Today we'll seek to address the recent spat of fires in Grand Turk, the impending visit of members of the Foreign Affairs Committee, the unsolved matters and lack of information surrounding the healthcare system and the construction of the new hospitals, and the ongoing situation in Salt Cay. With respect to the fires, the vision of the People's Democratic Movement is a Turks and Caicos where the principles of democracy and freedom abound, where respect for the rule of law and respect of human rights of the individual are upheld to the highest standards, and where protection of these rights, which we believe are not only bestowed by law, but by dignity, are vigorously pursued by all in the hierarchy of our land. I share the sadness and deep concern expressed by my constituents and persons in all corners of our country over the outbreak of fire on government property. These acts are unprecedented and bear the appearance of deliberation by unknown persons. We condemn all such acts on government property and encourage all citizens of this country to obey the law and its instructions. We also call on all citizens of this country that may have any information pertaining to the perpetrators of these acts to assist the police where and whenever possible. Now that fire has gutted one government building after the other, and now that important government records have been threatened and destroyed, we encourage the police to put increased security on government buildings and offices that house important elements of government that make our country's vital functioning and infrastructure continue to run, including offices such as the Land Registry, Companies Registry, Registrar of Deeds, and the Treasury. We will today forward a formal letter from the Leader of the Opposition's office to the Commissioner of Police and to the Governor, also requesting increased security for those buildings given the recent actions in Grand Turk. In our budget debate last year, I highlighted a number of areas where the opposition saw deficiency and lack of attention, where we couldn't afford such weaknesses. We pointed to concerns raised by fellow countrymen over the increased levels of crime and the general mindset of criminality that began to creep into our society. And we invited the government and suggested strongly that we increase our manpower in the police force and to increase the budget of the police where necessary. We have in the past, and we continue to now, pledge our full support to the overworked and understaffed police force and all of their officers and members, and encourage the government to ensure that they continue to receive the support, both financial and moral support, that they need at this critical time in our country's history. During the budget debate, it was found that some $1.5 million of funds allocated to the police department for the previous year had gone unspent, where government had not funded areas needed by the police force during that time. These are funds that are much needed in an environment where violent crime and arson are on the increase. If the police are to properly do its job, then they must be given the tools and equipment. Furthermore, we admonish the PNP administration for failing to protect the assets of the people of this country by breaking the very laws that they are now proposing to pass in the House of Assembly. Under the Fire Services and Prevention Bill 2007, the legislature will create law which will require all buildings to have valid fire certificates, and we strongly suggest again that all our government buildings ought to be the first to be compliant. Our government ought to lead by example. Our people deserve to be protected, and more importantly, to feel protected in their homes and on their jobs, in order that they may perform their duties of building a greater generation of Turks and Caicos Islands without fear of their safety and destruction of their surroundings or their historical data and records. The visit of the Foreign Affairs Committee. During the course of the next week, a team of parliamentarians of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the United Kingdom will be visiting the Turks and Caicos Islands to continue its inquiry into the Foreign and Commonwealth Office with specific reference to the overseas territories. At our most recent press conference held by the parliamentary members of the opposition, we informed you of the members of the press of the role of the committee, and today we seek to repeat that as we encourage all citizens of our country to make themselves available to this committee and to perform their patriotic duty of assisting them wherever possible. The committee was formed in July 2007, where they announced a new inquiry into the overseas territories. The functioning of the committee was to inquire specifically into standards of governance in the overseas territories, the role of governors and other office holders appointed by or on the recommendation of the United Kingdom government, the work of the Overseas Territories Consultative Council, transparency and accountability in the overseas territories, regulation of the financial services sector in the overseas territories, procedures for amendment of the Constitution in the overseas territories, the application of international treaties, convention, and other agreements to the overseas territories, human rights in the overseas territories, and relationships between the territories and the British government. So far, the committee has invited written submissions from members of the public and has accumulated that over the past few months. Your loyal opposition has also traveled to the UK and met with the Foreign Affairs Committee in November of last year with a view to encouraging them to visit the Turks and Caicos to ensure that every citizen of this country has an opportunity to ventilate their concerns. We believe that issues such as good governance, openness, and transparency